Have you ever made like a big New Year's resolution, truly committed to some new
Oh,
routine,
definitely.
only to find yourself, I don't know, a few weeks later, right back where you started?
Absolutely. That feeling of defeat, wondering, why does this stuff stick for other people but just melts away from me?
It's so common. And if you felt that, you are absolutely not alone.
Yeah. It's pretty much universal. Our brains, they're wired in ways that often make these huge, sweeping changes just incredibly difficult.
Right. We always focus on willpower, don't we?
We do. But what if the real secret isn't about some monumental effort, but, well, something much, much smaller?
And that right there is exactly what we're diving into today. Think of this as your shortcut, a shortcut to understanding the really surprising, almost counterintuitive power of tiny changes.
And how they can genuinely transform your life.
Yeah. Our main source here is that game-changing book, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah.
Such a practical guide.
It really is. And it pulls insights from all over, like
Yeah.
neuroscience, philosophy, psychology. It's grounded in real science.
What's really amazing about Clear's work, though, is that it comes from his own incredibly personal story.
Right. Back in 2002, high school, he had this horrific baseball bat injury.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. The bat slipped, hit him right between the eyes.
Exactly. I mean, it sounds like a nightmare. Broken nose, multiple skull fractures, shattered eye sockets.
Mm.
He even ended up in a medically induced coma.
Wow. Just unimaginable.
And the recovery, as you can guess, was just agonizingly slow. He lost his sense of smell, had double vision for weeks.
And had to relearn basic motor skills, like walking straight.
Yeah, intense physical therapy for the basics. Talk about a low point. And then a year later, baseball, the sport he loved, his dad played professionally.
He got cut from the varsity team.
Sent down to junior varsity. He talks about how utterly humiliating that felt. But, this is where the story really pivots.
Okay, so the turning point.
Yeah.
College.
Yeah, college. He didn't suddenly aim for, grand achievements. Instead, he started focusing on these seemingly tiny daily habits.
Like what?
Things like just getting enough sleep, keeping his dorm room really tidy, improving his study habits. Small stuff.
Just subtle shifts, okay?
And this is where, the magic happens. These small, seemingly inconsequential habits, when they compounded over years.
Led to astonishing results. I remember this part. 6 years after that awful injury, he was the top male athlete at Denison University.
And an ESPN academic All-American. It's just such a powerful, living example of the core idea in his book.
Which is that compounding effect.
Exactly. The central idea.
Yeah.
Tiny, consistent changes lead to enormous results over time. It's like compound interest, but, for your life.
Yeah, think about it. Just a 1% improvement each day for a year. It doesn't just add up, right? It multiplies.
You end up nearly 37 times better off. But, and this is crucial, the reverse is also true. A 1% decline daily. That leads towards, basically zero. Complete deterioration.
It's kind of mind-bending when you really think about it. Clear uses that great analogy, the plane flying from LA to New York.
Oh, yeah? The heading change.
If the pilot adjusts the heading just 3.5 degrees south at takeoff, tiny, right, almost nothing.
You don't notice it at first.
But you don't land in New York, you end up in Washington, D.C.
So what does that tell us? Your outcomes, your results right now, they're actually a lagging measure of your habits.
Ah, okay. So the real focus shouldn't just be on where you are, but where you're heading, your trajectory.
Precisely. And that immediately brings up this crucial point.
Yeah.
If habits are so powerful, how do we make sure they're working for us, not against us?
Because they really are a double-edged sword.
Totally. Good habits,
Yeah.
like, say, consistently learning something new, they compound into mastery, free up mental space, or even just being slightly nicer in every interaction.
Your relationships improve dramatically over time.
Yeah. But the flip side is just as real. Unchecked stress. That compounds into health problems.
Negative thinking traps you in a loop.
And outrage, fueled by constant scrolling maybe, it spreads, affects your peace of mind. These are all habits compounding against you.
And this is where so many of us get stuck, isn't it? In what Clear calls the plateau of latent potential.
Right. Progress just isn't linear. You can pour effort into something for ages, weeks, months.
And see nothing. No tangible results. It leads to that valley of disappointment.
Where you just feel like giving up. It's so relatable.
It is. He uses the ice cube analogy. An ice cube in a room warming up from, say, 25 to 31 degrees.
Nothing seems to happen.
But the work isn't wasted. It's just stored energy. All the action, the melting, happens right at 32 degrees.
Or the stonecutter analogy. Pounding away 100 times, nothing. Then the 101st blow splits the rock.
It was not that last blow that did it, but
Yeah.
all that had gone before. Love that.
So when you finally break through,
Yeah.
people might call it an overnight success, but it was all that unseen, compounded effort.
Okay, so if we connect this to strategy, it highlights that difference Claire makes between goals and systems.
Ah, yes, this is key. Goals are the results you want. Winning the championship, right?
Whereas systems are the processes that lead to those results.
Like how you recruit players, your daily practice routine, that kind of thing.
That idea of focusing on the system, not just the goal, like the coach focusing on practice, not just the trophy, that feels really counterintuitive for a lot of people.
It does. Is Clear saying goals are useless? Not really.
Let's flip the nuance there.
He argues that if you have a great system, the score, the outcome, it basically takes care of itself, like Bill Walsh said, right?
Yeah.
The score takes care of itself.
Okay.
The problem with only focusing on goals is they often lead to temporary fixes. Your room's messy. The goal is clean it. But if you don't fix the system of putting things away,
It just gets messy again.
right,
Makes sense.
and focusing only on the goal can restrict your happiness, that whole I'll be happy when mentality.
Oh, yeah, or the yo-yo effect, like runners who train hard for a race then stop completely afterwards because the goal is done.
Exactly. Goals are about winning the game. Systems are about continuing to play the game.
Which leads to what he calls goalless thinking.
Yeah, it's about endless refinement, continuous improvement, not just hitting one target and stopping. Which brings us back perfectly to the name of the book,
Atomic habits.
Atomic, because they're these tiny 1% improvements.
But they're part of a larger system, fundamental building blocks.
Small, yet incredibly powerful. They construct remarkable results over time.
Okay, so we get why these tiny changes matter. But how?
Right.
How do we actually make them stick? Clear talks about 3 layers of behavior change, like an onion.
Right, outermost layer. Outcomes, that's your results, like losing weight.
Middle layer,
Yeah.
processes, your habits, your systems, like the gym routine.
And then the deepest layer, the core. Identity, your belief, your worldview, your self-image.
And most people focus on the outcomes, right? The what?
Yeah, they start there. But Clear argues the most effective, lasting change really begins by shifting your identity, starting with who you want to be.
That makes a ton of sense. I remember reading about that guy, Brian Clark, who couldn't stop biting his nails.
Oh yeah, the nail-biting story.
He'd use willpower, quit for a bit, but always went back. It wasn't until he changed his self-image
From someone trying to stop biting nails.
to someone who doesn't bite nails. That identity shift was key. The old habit just conflicted with the new identity.
And what's so powerful here is understanding that your identity isn't fixed. It's not set in stone.
It emerges. It's learned.
Exactly. It's conditioned through your experiences. And your habits are literally how you embody your identity.
So every action is like a vote.
A vote for the type of person you wish to become. It's about building up evidence, getting a majority of votes for that desired identity.
So it's a simple 2-step process then. 1, decide who you want to be.
And 2, prove it to yourself with small wins, consistent actions.
So if you want to write a book, don't just say, I'm a writer. Ask, who is the kind of person that could write a book?
Right, someone consistent maybe, reliable, someone who shows up.
Then you take small actions. Show up and write every day. Even 1 sentence. Each sentence is a vote.
It's such a powerful shift. Your habits become the channel for developing your deepest beliefs about yourself. You don't just have habits.
You literally become your habits. Okay. Wow.
So we know why small changes work and who we need to be. Now for the practical how-to.
The 4 laws of behavior change, which are built on the habit loop, right? He mentions Thorndike's cat puzzle box experiments.
Yeah, the cat's learning through trial and error.
Yeah.
Rewarding successes made the escape automatic over time. That's basically how our habits form.
Through this 4-step process. Okay, what are they again?
First, the cue, the trigger. Predicts a reward, your phone buzzes, you smell cookies.
Got it. 2nd.
The craving, that motivational force, the desire to change your state. Not the habit itself, but the feeling it brings. Relief from stress, maybe.
Okay. Cue, craving. Then the response, the actual habit.
The thought or action you perform, grabbing the phone, biting your nails.
And finally, the reward. Satisfies the craving, teaches the brain, remember this action.
And if any one of those 4 steps is weak or missing,
The behavior just won't become a habit. Simple as that.
we can even group them. Cue plus craving equals the problem phase.
Yeah.
Realizing something needs satisfying.
And response plus reward, the solution phase. Taking action, getting the payoff.
This framework gives us those powerful rules, the 4 laws, for building good habits.
And crucially, they're inversions for breaking bad ones.
So, For good habits, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying.
And for bad habits, make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, make it unsatisfying.
That
Got it.
Let's dive into that first law. Make it obvious.
Okay. Why is this first?
Well, a huge reason habits control us is they become invisible, automatic, like covering your mouth when you laugh or saying sorry before asking something. You don't even think about it.
Right. And that lack of awareness is a problem. Carl Jung's quote.
Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So true. We fall into patterns without even realizing it because we miss the cues.
So how do you make the unconscious conscious? How do you notice these things?
Clear offers a couple of great techniques. First, pointing and calling, like the Japanese railway system uses.
Oh, yeah, where they literally point and say things out loud. Signal is green.
Exactly. It seems simple, maybe even silly, but it forces conscious awareness, reduces errors by up to 85%. Even the NYC subway uses a modified version.
Because it engages multiple senses.
Mm.
Right. Lifts it from non-conscious to conscious.
Precisely. The more automatic something is, the less we think, the more we miss. The second technique is super simple but effective. The habit scorecard.
Just listing your daily habits.
Yep. Lift them out. Then mark each one.
Yeah.
Plus for good equals for neutral minus for bad.
That visual alone must be revealing, holding up a mirror to your day.
Totally. It shines a light on patterns you'd never notice otherwise. Once you have that awareness, then you can intentionally make good habits more obvious.
Okay, how?
One powerful way is using implementation intentions, specifically stating, when situation X arises, I will perform response Y.
Like planning exactly when and where you'll exercise.
Right. There's a study 91% of people who made a specific plan actually exercise weekly. Compare that to like 35–38% in other groups who didn't specify the when and where.
Wow. So clarity really does come before motivation sometimes.
Often, yeah. And then there's habit stacking. This one's brilliant.
Linking a new habit to an existing one.
Exactly. The formula. After current habit, I will new habit. It uses the Diderot effect. One purchase leads to another. Behavior chains together naturally.
So like, after I pour my coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute.
Perfect. Or after I close my laptop for lunch, I will do 10 push-ups. The key is making the cue really specific and actionable. Vague cues don't work as well.
Makes sense. Another huge way to make habits obvious is designing your environment, isn't it?
Absolutely. Environment is like this invisible hand shaping us constantly. Think about how you act differently in a church versus a busy street.
True. And visual cues are massive because sight is our dominant sense.
Yeah, like those Dutch homes using less energy because the meter was visible. Or the fly sticker in the urinals at Schiphol Airport. Reduced cleaning costs just by giving people an obvious target.
Huh. I can relate. I started putting apples in a bowl on the counter instead of the fridge drawer.
And you eat more apples.
Exactly. It's priming the environment, laying out workout clothes, putting water bottles around. Make the good choice the obvious, easy one.
And remember that context is the cue. Habits get tied to their surroundings. It's often easier to build a new habit in a new environment.
Like going to a different coffee shop to write.
Yeah. And conversely, avoid mixing contexts for bad habits. Don't watch TV in bed if you want to sleep better. Keep the bedroom for rest.
Okay, let's flip law 1 for breaking bad habits. Make it invisible.
Right. And the secret here isn't really about having iron willpower.
No.
Not primarily. Think about that Vietnam War heroin study by Lee Robbins. Loads of soldiers were addicted over there.
But most just stopped when they came home.
Exactly. 90% recovered. Why? The environment changed. The cues were gone.
So people we think of as disciplined aren't necessarily stronger-willed.
They're often just better at structuring their lives to avoid tempting situations in the first place. It's way easier to avoid temptation than resist it constantly.
So the number 1 strategy for breaking a bad habit.
Reduce exposure. Remove the cues. Hide the junk food. Move the TV. Leave your phone in another room when you need to focus. Add friction.
Makes sense. Add friction. Okay, law 2. Make it attractive. Making good habits appealing.
Yeah, this taps into how our brains are wired. Clear talks about supernormal stimuli, exaggerated versions of reality that we find irresistible.
Like baby birds pecking at fake beaks with extra dots, or geese trying to roll huge volleyballs.
Exactly. And humans are the same. Junk food is a perfect example, engineered with salt, sugar, fat, to hit that bliss point.
Exploiting ancient cravings for calorie-dense food.
Right. And that dynamic contrast, crunchy and creamy together, it keeps us hooked, stimulates us way beyond natural foods. Modern life is full of these things.
And driving this is dopamine, right? Not just the pleasure, but the anticipation of pleasure.
Precisely. That rat experiment blocked dopamine. They lose the will to live, flood it. They perform habits obsessively.
So highly addictive things, drugs, junk food, social media, they're all tied to big dopamine spikes. It drives desire.
So how do we use this for good habits? One cool technique is temptation bundling.
Linking something you want to do with something you need to do.
Yes, like the student who only watched Netflix while on the exercise bike.
The formula is great. After current habit, I will habit I need. After habit I need, I will habit I want.
So after I do 10 push-ups, need, I will check social media, want. Or after I make coffee, current, I will call 3 clients, need. After I call clients, need, I will read the sports news.
Brilliant. Another huge factor for attractiveness is social influence. We're herd animals.
Deeply. We want to belong, fit in, earn respect. We imitate those close to us, friends, family, and our culture.
That obesity study, if your friend becomes obese, your risk goes up significantly.
Yeah, it shows how much our environment shapes us. So a great strategy is to join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior.
Like joining a fitness group where everyone's into healthy living.
Exactly. Remember the Ash conformity experiments. People conforming to obviously wrong answers just because the group did. The tribe's norms are powerful.
We also imitate the powerful, right? People we admire who have status.
We do. Think of the Polgar sisters, the chess prodigies. That intense practice felt attractive because their family culture valued and rewarded chess excellence above all else.
And if you're struggling just to start a tough habit, Clear suggests a motivation ritual.
Yeah, like Ed Lattimore putting on headphones before writing. A small, enjoyable routine right before the hard thing.
Okay, now the inversion. Make it unattractive for bad habits.
This often involves reframing your mindset. Our cravings are often just surface expressions of deeper motives.
Like using Tinder for connection or Google for certainty?
Exactly. Our habits are modern solutions to ancient desires. So the key is to reframe your feelings about the habit.
Change the association. Instead of, ugh, I have to go run.
Try, it's time to build endurance. Or saving money isn't sacrifice. It's buying future freedom.
Meditation distractions aren't frustrating. They're practice opportunities. Pre-game jitters aren't nerves. They're adrenaline to help me focus.
Exactly. Highlight the benefits of avoiding the bad habit. Or find a positive spin on the challenging good habit. Change the feeling associated with it.
Got it. Okay, Law 3. Make it easy. This feels crucial.
It really is. We focus so much on motivation, but ease is often more effective. Remember the photography class experiment.
Quantity versus quality. The quantity group took way more pictures.
And ended up producing all the best photos because they were constantly practicing, experimenting, taking action.
It highlights that difference between action and motion. Motion is planning, strategizing.
Which feels productive, but can be procrastination. Action is actually doing it. Mastery requires reps, not perfection.
And for habit formation, frequency matters more than time spent, right?
Absolutely. The number of repetitions is key to making something automatic. Your current habits are ingrained through thousands of reps. New ones need that too.
This ties into the law of least effort. We're wired to conserve energy.
We naturally drift towards the easiest option. Think about why phone scrolling is so pervasive, zero effort.
So we need to reduce friction for good habits, like those Japanese firms removing wasted steps to boost productivity.
Or habit-forming products, meal delivery, dating apps, they succeed by making things incredibly easy.
And we can prime our own environment, like that developer resetting the room.
Yeah, Oswald Knuckles. Putting things back, arranging pillows, preparing for the next action, like laying out workout clothes or breakfast stuff.
Makes the next step almost effortless, which leads to the 2-minute rule.
Love this one. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do.
Break it down. Read before bed becomes read one page. Do yoga becomes take out my yoga mat.
It's about standardizing before you optimize. Make showing up the easy part. You can't improve a habit that doesn't exist.
It ritualizes the start. Then you can scale up later.
Exactly. That's habit shaping. Like the guy who lost weight by starting with just 5 minutes at the gym each day. Once showing up was automatic, he gradually increased the time.
Okay, the inversion. Make it difficult for bad habits. Increase friction.
Like Victor Hugo locking away his clothes to force himself to write. Make it impractical.
Or buying snacks in single servings instead of family bags.
Or using commitment devices. Things that restrict your future choices for your own good. Like asking a casino to ban you.
Or those one-time actions. Unsubscribing from emails, turning off notifications, getting blackout curtains, effort up front, long-term ease.
Right. But remember, technology often automates bad habits against us.
Yeah.
Netflix, autoplay, instant food delivery.
Makes the bad choice too easy. Claire's example of his assistant resetting his social media passwords is great.
Yeah, adds just enough friction during the week without banning it completely. Smile.
Okay, final law. Law 4. Make it satisfying. This feels like the clincher.
It really is. It completes the loop. The cardinal rule. What is rewarded is repeated. What is punished is avoided. Positive emotions cultivate habits.
But here's the conflict. Immediate versus delayed rewards. Our brains evolved for quick payoffs.
Right, the immediate return environment of our ancestors. Find food now, be safe now.
Modern society is delayed return. Good habits pay off later. Bad habits feel good now. That time inconsistency messes us up.
Totally. Smoking feels good now, kills you later. Exercise feels hard now, benefits you later.
So the key is to hack instant gratification. Find a way to feel successful immediately.
Exactly. Even in a small way. That immediate reward keeps you going while the big long-term rewards build up.
And for avoiding bad habits where the reward is nothing happening.
Make the nothing satisfyingly visible, like labeling a savings account, dream vacation, and transferring money every time you skip buying that expensive coffee. Seeing the balance grow is an immediate reward.
And make sure the reward fits the identity, right? A massage after exercise, not junk food.
Yes. Eventually, the intrinsic rewards, feeling better, having more energy become the main driver. The identity itself becomes reinforcing.
This is why habit tracking works so well too, crossing days off a calendar.
It hits multiple laws. Makes it obvious, visual proof, attractive, progress is motivating, and satisfying, seeing the streak grow.
Which leads to the never miss twice rule.
Crucial. Miss once, it's life. Get back on track immediately. Miss twice. That's the start of a new unwanted habit. Rebound quickly.
But be careful not to just chase the metric, right? Goodhart's law.
Yeah, don't optimize the measurement if it means sacrificing the actual goal. Use tracking as guidance, not the ultimate target.
Okay, inversion. Make it unsatisfying for bad habits.
Make failure immediately painful. Like Roger Fisher's idea for the nuclear codes, make the consequence visceral, not abstract. If failure is painless, we ignore it.
Increase the speed of punishment. Late fees, bad grades tied to attendance.
The more immediate and tangible the consequence, the better, which is why accountability partners and habit contracts are so effective.
Right, that formal agreement with someone stating the commitment and the punishment for failing.
Like Brian Harris paying his trainer or wearing a rival's jersey. Knowing someone's watching adds that social cost, that immediate downside. Or Thomas Frank's automated payment if you didn't wake up.
Powerful stuff. Okay, so those are the 4 laws, but how do you go from good to, like, great advanced tactics?
Yeah, Clear talks about this. First, acknowledging talent. Genes matter. Michael Phelps versus Hakeem El Garouge built differently for different sports.
It's not destiny, but it affects your potential, what feels easier or more satisfying.
Exactly. Play a game where the odds are in your favor. Align habits with your natural abilities and personality.
Like the big 5 personality traits. Someone less conscientious needs more environment design.
Right. Build habits that work for you, not against you. Find the version that brings you joy.
Which involves that explore, exploit idea, trying lots of things initially.
Yeah, exploration first. Then, once you find what works best, exploit that focus 80–90% there. But always keep 10–20% for exploring, experimenting. Stay adaptable.
Asking questions like, what's fun for me but work for others? Or, what makes me lose track of time? Finding that flow state.
Or, where do I get better returns? And if you can't find the right game, create one. Combine skills uniquely, like Scott Adams did with Dilbert. Specialize.
Then there's the Goldilocks rule.
Ah, yes. We're most motivated by tasks of just manageable difficulty, about 4% beyond our current level.
Not too easy, boring, not too hard, discouraging, but just right. Like Steve Martin gradually adding new jokes while keeping the guaranteed laughs.
Constantly pushing the edge, but staying engaged. But even then, you face the biggest threat.
Boredom.
Exactly. As habits become routine, interest fades. We crave novelty. That's why people jump between diets or workouts.
But the pros stick to the schedule, even when it's boring.
You have to fall in love with boredom, in a way. Show up anyway.
But there's a downside to habits becoming automatic, right?
Complacency?
Yeah, reduce sensitivity to feedback. Performance can slightly decline once mastery hits, if you're not actively refining. Which is why reflection and review are so critical, like Pat Riley's CBE program with the Lakers.
Tracking everything, challenging players for that 1% improvement constantly, even on small things. It prevents stagnation.
We need our own systems for that, like Clear's annual review or integrity report, checking in. Are you still aligned? Are you slipping?
It provides that crucial feedback loop, stops the slow decline.
And finally, breaking beliefs that hold you back. Pride getting in the way of growth.
Right. Keep your identity small, as Paul Graham says. Don't be just the CEO. Be someone who builds things, more adaptable.
Like Lao Tzu, whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. Maintain that flexibility.
A really powerful way to keep growing.
So we've covered a lot from Atomic Habits. The core message feels like tiny changes consistently applied stack up.
It's not one single 1% improvement, it's thousands of them. That's the holy grail. Success isn't a finish line. It's a system, an endless process of refinement.
You fall to the level of your systems, not rise to your goals. Keep applying the 4 law of always looking for that next tiny improvement.
It's amazing what you can build if you just don't stop.
And some little lessons to leave with, like awareness comes before desire. You notice first, then you crave.
And emotions drive behavior. Logic needs an emotional push. Our expectations shape satisfaction.
If what you want always outpaces what you like now, you'll stay unsatisfied. Happiness is relative.
Desire gets you started, but pleasure, enjoyment, keeps you going.
So as we wrap up, maybe think about this. What's one tiny, almost insignificant habit you could start today?
Or one tiny environmental tweak you could make. Just one thing to make a good choice slightly more obvious or a bad one slightly less convenient.
Think about that one small action as a vote for the person you want to become. How might that single vote, compounded over time, lead somewhere remarkable, even if you can't see it right now?
What's the one thing you can do today, right now, that will make tomorrow just 1% better?